أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين. أما بعد، سلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. In the seventh sermon of Nahj ul-Balaghah, Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam censures and rebukes the followers of Shayṭān. He says, اتخذوا الشيطان لأمرهم ملاكا واتخذهم له أشراكا. They have made Shayṭān the cornerstone of their affair, and he has taken them as partners. فباض وفرخ في صدورهم ودب ودرج في حجورهم. He has laid eggs and hatched them in their bosoms, and creeps and crawls in their laps. فنظر بأعينهم ونطق بألسنتهم فركب بهم الزلل وزين لهم الخطل. He sees through their eyes and speaks through their tongues, driving them to sin and making the foul seem decorous. فعل من قد شركه الشيطان في سلطانه ونطق بالباطل على لسانه. As is the act of one whom Shayṭān has partnered with in his dominion and speaks with falsehood upon his tongue. Though it is not known exactly when this sermon was delivered, the compiler of Tamāmu Nahj al-Balaghah places this sermon in a much longer sermon on those who have designs on power while they are unworthy of it, which talks about the different kinds of people who commit wrongs in the name of religion while they are only out to serve their own best interests. We find in this sermon that there is a clear admonition to all that they should be wary of the wiles of Shayṭān. In a few brief words, the Imam alayhi salam vividly describes how Shayṭān insinuates himself into the lives of his would-be followers. He then goes on to describe the effects of allowing Shayṭān to hold sway over one's life. When individuals heed Shayṭān and give ear to his beguiling counsel, he ensnares them and becomes a partner in their affair. Such individuals then gradually become a means of ensnaring others and leading them astray. It should be noted, however, that this first stage in Shayṭān's grand scheme depends on the willful choice of an individual to heed his call. It is not possible for Shayṭān to force his way into one's heart. Rather, he gains entry when the door is opened for him. The laying of eggs and hatching them in their bosoms are allegories for the whisperings of Shayṭān and indicate the length of his stay with these people, since a bird only lays eggs in a place it considers its home. Therefore, this kind of metaphorical language symbolizes the gradual indoctrination by Shayṭān. When the eggs hatch, his offspring creep around slowly, dabb, and then gradually crawl a little faster, daraja. This gradual increase in movement is probably an indication that satanic ideas and plots do not take shape instantaneously or suddenly. Rather, they develop in stages, like a planted seed that germinates over time. This is how Shayṭān misguides man, step by step. His seeing through their eyes and speaking through their tongues means that he becomes one with his host. Now, Shayṭān takes total control of that individual who has allowed him to come and stay in his heart. As a result, the glances of such a person become satanic and his utterances become devilish. And so it is that those who used to be human beings are now transformed into devils. They are the ones then referred to human Shayṭāns, Shayateen al-Ins. Hence we learn from this sermon that Shayṭān takes his time in beguiling human beings. He will approach them, and when they give him entry into their hearts, he will slowly set up shop there, and he will begin to lay down roots gradually taking over the very fiber of that individual's being and dominating him, such that he becomes a completely transformed individual, and he becomes one who is like Shayṭān, and who speaks the way Shayṭān speaks and thinks the way Shayṭān thinks. And so the lesson we can take from this beautiful sermon of Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam is that we should not allow Shayṭān to come into our hearts in the first place. Sometimes we see human beings doing evil actions that defy description. When we look at Karbala, for example, despite the numerous admonitions of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, the people turned a deaf ear to him. And that is because they had already been indoctrinated by Shayṭān. They had already been beguiled by Shayṭān, having allowed Shayṭān to set up within their hearts. And therefore, they then lost all sense of understanding the difference between right and wrong. We pray to Allah Azza wa Jal to grant us the ability to remove all such satanic insinuations and thoughts from our minds and hearts, and we seek refuge in Allah Azza wa Jal against the accursed Shayṭān. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin.